Hello my viewers and welcome back to my channel. Subscribe, like, and don't forget to be part of this conversation by sharing your thoughts on what you think at the end of the video in the comment section down below. I welcome you to a revelatory video that exposes the shocking truth about the rise and fall of Zion and the sinister strategies of the elite. Now in this video, Pam Kalaman responds to a chilling article that reveals the true intentions of those in power to drain the resources of America, destroy it slowly, and turn it into a welfare state. Now he points to the cozy relationship between politicians and the elite, exemplified by Benjamin Tanyau's influence over the U.S. Congress. He also critiques the Republican Party for enabling this destructive agenda and laments the moral, spiritual, financial, economic, and environmental decay of society. So get ready for a wake-up call as he takes us into the dark forces manipulating our world. With that said, check out his video. I will be right back.
Do you get it now? Do you get it now? There's not two sides, people. There's not two sides. There's Jiff and Skippy. There's not two sides. It's going to be 100 years for us to get this cleaned up. I mean, this is Mitt Romney's best friend. When this guy walks in the U.S. Congress, they just bow to him. The Epstein phenomenon pervades both parties, and Biden. His whole life is about weird sexuality with young girls. I mean, you can see it in the videos. So there's your choice. Everybody's like, oh no, Trump is this. Blah, 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 blah. You've been duped. You American conservatives, do you understand that you're the enabler of this guy? Right? Mike Johnson, all of you. The Republican Party is basically a wing of this. I mean, you got to give the liberals like Noam Chomsky and Abby Martin and people like that I always talk about, at least they can see through it. We are morally, spiritually, financially, economically, environmentally, and this is why. We're talking about like Stormy Daniels and like word salad girl. I mean, you can't base your economy on usury. You can't base your economy on war and money printing. It's the same story for every empire in history. And this, as you can see by this quote above my head, this is the most savage one that has ever existed. I think, let's wind this down by talking about Dugin. Dugin believes that, like F-ism, can't say the word on here, thing that came about in Spain and Italy and Germany in the 1920s and 30s, and communism have a third age, a third wave to it, that they call liberalism. Now, liberalism in the United States means, Noam Chomsky and Bernie Sanders. There is no two parties, people. There's just this. It's an out-of-control ideology. Anybody want to get in the DMs and dismiss this or explain to me that this isn't what this is? All the terrorist groups have connections to intelligence. Right? Terrorism didn't even really exist until him. The concept of it, that there's all these Muslim terrorists everywhere ready to stick dynamite up your and blow everybody up all over the world. He created the whole concept of it. They asked Ben Gurion, well, are you concerned that you're fomented terrorism in the Middle East? He said, the Middle East, we foment terrorism everywhere. This is the war on terror right above my head. That's the origin of it. It's all right in there. This is why Wesley Clark doesn't know why we have to attack 7 countries in 5 days, or 5 years. 7 and 5, I think it was. We're going to have to default. So let me finish. In an empire, always the provinces is what falls first. The first province that's going to fall is Japan. Japan is in the process of going bankrupt. Let me see if I still have this graph. I'll just give you a quick gander at it. Okay, it's not really much to see. So in the bottom, where it starts, is the beginning of the war on terror. And at the top, you're looking at the price of oil in a barrel in yen, in terms of yen, not dollars, but in yen. So it was 3,600 yen per barrel when the Cold War started. Sorry, the war on terror, I beg your pardon. It's now 13,000. It's up 400% since the beginning of the war. Japan has 260% of GDP in debt. The money printer's been running wide open since around this time. Okay, now you can see what the outcome of the war on terror is. It's to get America. See it? The real target. Yeah, they want to break up Russia. They want to take over Ukraine. It's the biggest country in Europe. It has the all kinds of mineral wealth. Lindsey Graham said it just 10 days ago. The best farmland outside of Brazil and the United States. They want to take over all of the Levant, Greater Israel it's called, and they want to take over the United States, and they already have. Now what are we going to do? They're just going to keep turning the screws to these laws about discourse, what you're allowed to discuss. Facebook is outlawing the Z word. You have to take special training when you go to Columbia and the Ivy League now. These people aren't going to down without a fight. Go ahead, DM me about all your bullshit about Trump. Go ahead. It's the Kabbalah, people. It's the way of the right hand and the way of the left hand. There's like the soft, feminine way to go about things. That's what we call liberalism. And then there's like the right-wing, heavy-handed, masculine way. Okay? Both of those guys are compromised. Both of their VP candidates are compromised. So it's all going to go. You start making new arrangements, people, because it's all going to go down. Banks, the election, the stock market. Goldman Sachs just discovered that really AI is never going to make any money. Wow. A third of the market cap of the U.S. stock market is based on AI. So you might want to start coming up with new arrangements.
Now, this video presents a critical perspective on the current state of affairs in America, highlighting the alleged manipulation and control by a small elite group. The speaker argues that this group is responsible for the country's moral, spiritual, financial, economic, and environmental decline. Now, one of the main points raised is the influence of Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli lobby over the U.S. Congress. The speaker suggests that this relationship is too close and that it prioritizes Israeli interests over American ones. The video also critiques the Republican Party for enabling this agenda and perpetuating the status quo. Now, this speaker argues that the party is complicit in the elite's plans and that conservatives are being duped into supporting policies that harm the country. The video also touches on the topic of usury and the printing of money, suggesting that these practices are unsustainable and harmful to the economy. Now, the Israel lobby are individuals and groups seeking to influence the United States government to better serve Israel's interests. The largest pro-Israel lobbying group is Christians United for Israel with over 7 million members. The American Israel Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, is a leading organization within the lobby, speaking on behalf of a coalition of pro-Israel American Jewish groups. Now, just like we have heard, the man in the video is criticizing the Israeli lobby's alleged control over U.S. foreign policy, particularly with regards to Israel. Now, he argues that the lobby's influence is too great and that it prioritizes Israeli interests over American ones. Now, this is a contentious issue, with some arguing that the Israeli lobby has a disproportionate influence on U.S. policy, while others argue that the lobby is simply advocating for the interests of a key ally in the region. It's important to note that the Israeli lobby is not a single entity, but rather a collection of organizations and individuals who advocate for various interests related to Israel. Now, the lobby's influence can be overstated as U.S. policy is shaped by a diverse range of factors and interests. However, it is also important to acknowledge that the Israeli lobby has been known to exert significant pressure on U.S. politicians and policymakers, particularly with regards to issues related to Israel and the Middle East. Now, this pressure can take many forms, including campaign donations, lobbying efforts, and public relations campaigns. Now, Netanyahu seems to be boasting about the extent of Israel's influence over the United States, suggesting that America is willing to do Israel's bidding without question. Now, this is a deeply troubling statement, as it implies that the US is not acting in its own best interests, but rather as a puppet state controlled by Israel. Now, such a scenario would be a violation of the principles of sovereignty and democracy and would have far-reaching implications for global politics. Netanyahu's words also perpetrate a harmful stereotype that Jews and Israel control the US government, which is a dangerous and false anti-Semitic trope. It is important to recognize that the US and Israel have a complex relationship with both cooperation and disagreement on various issues. Netanyahu's boastful tone is particularly concerning, as it suggests a lack of accountability and a disregard for the democratic values that underpin the US-Israel alliance. It is important for leaders to recognize the importance of mutual respect and cooperation rather than perpetrating harmful stereotypes and boasting about undue influence. Now, it appears that Netanyahu is suggesting that the US is supporting Israel without fully understanding or questioning Israel's motivations or actions. This can be seen as a form of blind support, which can be problematic if it means that the US is not critically evaluating Israel's actions or considering the potential consequences of its support. Now, it's really important for any country, including the US, to maintain a critical and nuanced approach when it comes to international relations and alliances. This includes being aware of the potential complexities and motivations of other nations, as well as being mindful of one's own interests and values. Now, in the context of the US-Israel relationship, it's important for the US to be aware of Israel's actions and policies, particularly with regards to the Palestinian territories and the ongoing conflict. While the US and Israel have a long-standing alliance, it's important for the US to maintain a critical eye and consider the potential impact of its support on the region and the world. Now, this is a topic of blind support by the US for Israel and how it affects the Palestinian people. And this can be seen by how the US provides significant financial aid to Israel, which is used to maintain its military occupation of the Palestinian territories. The US vetoes UN resolutions that aim to hold Israel accountable for its actions in the occupied territories. The US has consistently shown bias towards Israel, often ignoring or downplaying its human rights violations. Now, this blind support emboldens Israel to continue its oppressive policies, lending to the displacement and suffering of Palestinians. The US has a responsibility to promote justice and human rights rather than enabling Israel's actions. Now, this blind support includes the perpetuation of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, the growth of extremism, and the erosion of US credibility globally. I feel the man's commentary sheds light on the importance of critically evaluating the US-Israel relationship and promoting a more balanced approach that prioritizes human rights and justice for all parties involved. Now, I want to hear from you, my viewers. What do you think about what this man is saying? Do you agree or disagree with his assessment? Do you think Israel's motives are pure, or do you think there's more to the story? Let's get a conversation started by sharing your thoughts, opinions, and contributions in the comments below. Do you think the US should re-evaluate its relationship with Israel? Should the US be more critical of Israel's actions in the occupied territories? Let's explore this topic together and hear from different perspectives. So don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, because you will find my videos interesting and intriguing. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next video as I bring you another interesting video.